Morning, everybody. I just wanted to introduce this unit in our Brannigan's text on building construction. This is chapter, stand by, 12. The title of the chapter is Firefighting Concerns of Green Construction. I found it kind of ironic that Brannigan, who has been around for so long, and now in his book there's a chapter on green construction, and I'm pretty sure that he didn't write it. But this is something that I think we'll see more and more of. And it's actually a pretty short chapter because we don't have a lot of, we being the fire service, don't have a lot of information about green construction and the dangers of firefighting and just fires in and of themselves, because they're something that is very new. I just wanted to mention a couple of things to you about this. I thought it was pretty interesting now that there is the 2012 International Green Construction Code. And so I think when this business first started of trying to be green or environmentally friendly, I think we have called that is what we've called it in the past. But this whole concept of green, as we want to save the environment, in addition to, in many ways, saving money, as far as our water, heat, air, and just building itself. Trying to be more conservative of the product. I don't want to say products, but I can't come up with the right word, so that'll have to do. That we want to be more conservative, as things, we're losing less and less of our resources, natural resources. The 2012 International Green Construction Code does coordinate with the International Building Code and the International Fire Code. So there is something out there that governs green construction. And when we're thinking about green construction, remember that doesn't necessarily mean safer. And I think that in some ways it's safer for the environment, but it may not necessarily be safer from a fire standpoint or a firefighting standpoint. The book talks about some eco-friendly materials such as bamboo, adobe, and some of these things we have seen and they've been around for a while. And that's one. Straw bale is one. Cob is another one. It's similar to adobe. It's clay, straw, and earth. It might have a little bit of plaster in it. And then this is where it kind of gets more modern day, I guess. Biopolymers. This is green plastic that's made from renewable living sources. Might be used for insulation. And then ammonia. We see more ammonia now with it's an old refrigerant, but when freons that aren't so environmentally friendly, we may see more ammonia being used in that capacity. But we have to remember too, it's just as deadly to us in our situation. So a lot of times the book talks about a whole bunch of different materials, polystyrene, polyurethane, radiant barriers, glass, and a green roof. And I think this is something that I know several years ago, there was a lot of talk about the whole underground house concept. And so I guess this is kind of a spin-off from that. Think about that from a firefighting standpoint. If you've got this green roof with actual, as I threw that piece of paper, vegetation and materials on the roof to support plant growth. So a lot of different kind of stuff out there. Green walls, and this is something that I really think we may see more of in our communities, probably more in metro areas than here in the rural part of the state. Green walls can come in different forms. The book discusses how they're insulated, and there's a video that you're going to watch at the end of for your discussion question, and she actually shows this how the walls are made. And it was really kind of interesting, but all these bells and whistles are going off in my head when I think about fires and firefighting. So be sure and watch that as to how these walls are made, whether they're insulated, sheathing, or whether they're panels. And there's even something called green concrete. So there's just a lot of different things out there. And this is when I really like chia buildings. Now, when I was young, and I'm probably much older than many of you, there were the chia pets that we had, and you put water on it and it grew. But they're referring to chia buildings, ivy and vegetation covered, and it can also be used as wall covering. So think about that, and it's, I don't know that they whether this is inside, outside. I guess it could be both. But think about what that does in a fire. Just think about how that is going to affect fire. Things such as plastic lumber. We thought that wood trusses, lightweight trusses, were bad because they were glued together. Now we have plastic lumber. When we look at things being made out of recycled materials, and the weight, this is really lightweight, but what's it going to do in a fire? So certainly, if you think about the plastics, if we have plastics that are made into lumber, they're going to react just like the plastics did in any kind of fire situation. So that is of concern as well. Think about something else to think about is accessibility. A lot of it's not just the home itself, but the community. When they want less of a footprint, environmental footprint. They may have. It's a more community-oriented, walkable space, that kind of thing. Think about access. Think about hydrants, water supply, and that sort of thing. So. There's a lot of discussion in the book about energy generation, and this is something that we do see more of using different ways to generate energy. I'm not going to go through all of those. You can look at those different things. People are all the time trying to come up with ways to generate energy so it saves them money, and it also helps the environment as well. But always in the back of your mind, there's got to be that thought of, what about firefighting? Think about if you've got these roof panels on this structure, what does that do to your dead load? What does that do to collapse? What is, and this is a question that I have asked you to discuss as a part of your discussion, what hazards may be present in the green homes or green buildings that are not present in normal or regular construction, wood frame construction. I wonder if one day we'll see a new type of building construction, like type 6 or something that's green construction. I don't know. But it certainly is an interesting chapter. It's something to look at. Again, one of those changing fields. Be sure and watch the video because that was very interesting to me. It's about 15 minutes from YouTube. It's posted on the site, and then your discussion question revolves around that. I put the instructions on the course site. So short chapter because we don't have a lot of experience from the firefighting side of things. I would encourage you to get out into your community and find out if you have any of these buildings. Or any of these structures or communities that are being built. And if so, find out more about them and share that with us. Certainly, that would be very helpful. So be sure to read the chapter, look at the PowerPoints. There's only like 30-something slides, so we're doing good with PowerPoints on this chapter. But and watch that video and then do your discussion question. Thanks so much. If you have any questions, just let me know. Bye.